What's going on, Star Wars fans?
Hello there.
We are here again with everybody. We are pretty super excited to have everybody on here again tonight. So, just want to say hello to Brandon Baker's on, along with Steve Jedi, and appreciate you guys coming on here for now. And we got some cool things we're gonna talk about. We'll talk probably a couple things. I think both of you guys were on Mike's podcast yesterday. We'll touch a little bit on some of the new stuff that's coming up, and then we have a cool thing that we're doing tonight that Nick had brought up, and we're doing our Mount Rushmore of the Star Wars characters. So if you guys want to think about the four of your favorite characters and maybe the reasons why, and put them up in the chat, and we'll get to them in a little bit here. So anything new with you guys have talked or heard about this week? Mike, you can't answer. Not yet.
I mean, on the news front, they announced that they're doing away with Star Wars Launch Bay at Hollywood Studios, and they're making that like an animation area now, which is fine because the area has been pretty much over for several years. But yeah, me being the parks guy, that's the only news there for Star Wars.
Derek, can you describe like what the launch bay at least was?
Yeah, it was a place where you basically just did character meet and greets. Now, before the pandemic, they used to do the Star Wars Galactic dessert party there, which was amazing. It was $70 per person. All you care to enjoy desserts, all you care to enjoy adult beverages. It was for 2 hours. You got like exclusive access to several characters. Usually it was like Darth Vader, Kylo Ren, and Chewie, and then stormtroopers would walk around. And then before the nighttime show, the stormtroopers would walk you out to a special area in front of all the other peasants, and then you would get a special viewing area with the stormtroopers. It was the greatest thing ever. I did it 3 times. I would do it 3 more times. Bring it back, Disney. Come on.
That's crazy. $70 for all you can eat. I mean, I'm walking out there with like $7,000 of food.
I'm getting my money's worth for sure.
Yeah, I definitely indulged in the adult beverages a lot. I made that hurt for them.
Well, at Disney, that's like 2.5 drinks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they didn't discriminate either.
Make your
Like,
money
they didn't
quick.
tell you no. I would walk up and be like, "I'll take 4," and they're like, "Here you go."
That's wild.
Derek, you
that's
kind
crazy.
of undersold the closing of it if that's what you got there.
I know, yeah.
I
You're
mean,
like, it's all right. They don't
It's
really
all right.
use
They don't really do it that way.
It hasn't been that
they
for a
haven't done
long
that.
time, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
they haven't
okay.
done that since the pandemic. And they haven't brought back the March of the First Order, which was like the coolest thing that they did multiple times a day. And their excuse was, "Well, we have Galaxy's Edge now." Well, you had Galaxy's Edge and you were still doing it.
Yeah.
It's just they don't want to
Was
pay
it-
actors.
Was it the spot like when we were kids where they would have, it was a door and they'd have the characters come out and they'd have like kids go up there with them, or is that a different spot?
I'm not sure. It was an area where like animators used to be.
Okay.
So like you would go, and I remember going when I was a kid, and they were working on Mulan. So you'd go and you could do a tour and like see real animators. They're kind of bringing that idea back a little bit. So we'll see. It was running its course. It was pretty much over anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. Hey, Steve just jumped on here. Darth Plagueis lives. Thanks for joining us, guys. We're going over some of the new stuff. I know we've already touched on some of this, but there's Hayden Christensen. Me and Nick were talking about it, and I know Mike had talked about it yesterday. He canceled one of his showings for one of the conventions because he was going to be working. I'm assuming the new Ahsoka, and I think it'll be pretty cool that it's going to be. We got to figure out. Obviously, he's going to have more of a role in this. Do you not think that, Mike?
No, I absolutely do. It was weird because at Star Wars Celebration, when they talked all about Ahsoka Season 2, they were like, there's some really cool stuff like a war in our Star Wars, blah, blah, blah. And they just threw in like Hayden Christensen's coming back. Like that at one point would have been like this insane groundbreaking news, and they just threw it in there like it was nothing. I think we're going to get a lot of Anakin in season 2. Hopefully a lot of Force Ghost explanation, because him being on Peridia is weird. He hasn't been anywhere since Endor 40 years ago. Like where has he been? Yeah, that's what I want to know, at least.
Well, and I think that's the thing. There's so many people out here, because just listening to what's going on, they have to explain this Force Ghost thing better.
Yeah.
It has to come up at some point. And I'm going to say they're probably in Ahsoka more than, Mandalorian and Grogu, but they have to explain this, and just so we have a little bit more of an understanding of what's going on when Yoda shows up to Luke, and what was it, 8?
Last Jedi,
So or when Obi-Wan comes and sits on a log and talks to Luke, how is this happening? And then also I think it'll be interesting to see what they have to do to get to that point, as we see Obi-Wan is busting his ass for 10 years trying to figure it out, and then finally he sees Qui-Gon at the end.
To your point, we were talking about this a couple weeks ago. I actually think the Force Ghost stuff wouldn't touch Ahsoka at all. I think if we got a second season of Obi-Wan Kenobi, that's where we'd get it. Because that'd be, I think we could get the action, not that Force Ghosts are going to be whipping around and doing stuff with the characters, but we get, Anakin's presence like we already have and that sort of thing in Ahsoka. And then later on, that's part of what Obi-Wan's whole, new life is about figuring out. So I think that's where we would get it the most out of anything.
True. I think though, well, and I'll ask you guys, at the end of Ahsoka, it might be the last scene, but I could be wrong, where Sabine's looking out into the darkness on Peridia, and then Ahsoka joins her, and she's like, "Oh, I feel something," or whatever. And then Ahsoka's looking out, and she just smiles, but she's like looking off in all different directions, and then she smiles and walks away. And then we zoom in on Anakin's Force Ghost. Do you think that? Well, Sabine obviously probably didn't, but do you think Ahsoka saw Anakin there?
I think that's the assumption. I think that's the assumption. I also just like the assumption that we think when we see Balin on the extended hand, is he looking out there? Is that where Abeloth is going to be? So,
yeah, but
go ahead.
No, when I go back and watch that scene, though, you see Ahsoka, and she's not really looking in one specific direction. Like, she's looking all over, like up in the sky, and then she just gives a little smirk and then walks away. It would make sense that she honestly wouldn't see him, just because
he's just there.
His Force Ghost hasn't been around since Endor, and maybe it would make sense that he's there, but maybe can't physically appear for some reason. And it would explain why he doesn't come to Luke at any point all the way up until the sequel trilogy. But there needs to be an explanation for that. And if Ahsoka actually didn't see him, I think it would maybe even make more sense. But then what's the point of bringing back Hayden for season 2? I don't know. There's a lot of ways they can do it. Flashbacks, of course. We want to see more Clone Wars stuff. Maybe bring in Ewan in the Clone Wars. But
yeah, well, there's also I don't know. I feel like it's always been an assumption that they don't really have a choice of calling up a Force Ghost, and a Force Ghost doesn't really have the choice of affecting their free will either.
Yeah,
and not that that's been fully explained in any way, but it's this mystical assumption that we've all kind of had to make because Yoda and Obi-Wan hang out with Luke as much as they can until Luke has to go do something, and that's and then they don't. But I would agree. I feel like, Mike, not to speak for you, but I feel like you're leaning towards it might be a little better if she didn't see him, or make a little more sense.
No, I agree.
I like that because I feel like what we know or what we get thus far with Force Ghosts is that these people have now just become the living Force, thanks to our boy Qui-Gon, and and so they're kind of everywhere all at once, but not really that interactive, and maybe don't, maybe understand that, they can't just be there holding people's hand, or maybe it really affects things if they do. I don't know, but I could see it being very difficult to even see one. Luke might have had a real gift for it. Who knows?
Well, it makes you wonder if it's if you think of the Force as a character, it's the Force making it happen for people when they need it, right? And And it also makes me wonder, like, with that, because they talk about like training to be able to do it. Is it just as much training on the people to see them than it is the people to, be the ghost?
Yeah.
Like, do you have to like you said, if assume Ahsoka did see him, but like Sabine didn't, like, why?
Yeah.
What's the difference? Like, that's an interesting, like, why can't she see him, but Ahsoka can? What's the difference between them?
Yeah, and at the end of Kenobi too, going back to Kenobi, when Qui-Gon appears to Obi-Wan, he's like, I've been waiting for you. Like, Obi-Wan couldn't see him before, but now that he tapped back into the Force, then maybe he can. So there's probably something along those lines. Like, Sabine definitely can't see him, but Ahsoka can because it's her master.
Yeah.
Like, even on Hoth, when Obi-Wan's Force Ghost first appears to Luke on that hill, right after he disappears, Han comes running through on a tauntaun. Like, Han didn't see that giant cloaked figure ghost there that time, so it's only Luke who can see it. So it's the person's perspective. So that's definitely the case when it comes to Force ghosts. But it would be interesting if they used Anakin, or his Force ghost at least, as sort of an explanation giver. Because you have the Mortis gods, you have Abeloth, you have a lot of weird moving parts coming in Ahsoka Season 2 that a lot of normie fans will be absolutely lost. If you haven't seen the Clone Wars, if you haven't seen Rebels, you will be so lost in Ahsoka Season 2. And I think Anakin can be the one to just explain it to Ahsoka. Like, Ahsoka was on Mortis, but even still explain it to Sabine and maybe the two of them.
To give the exposition that the normal people...
Yeah.
Normal viewers need.
He still would need to explain it to Ahsoka because they don't remember.
Yes.
But I also feel like this might be getting into like opinion territory, but I also don't believe that in the world between worlds that actually is Anakin either. I believe that's more Ahsoka's experience rather than like Anakin going in there and physically testing her. Like, he's there, but it's not like she's hanging out with him.
Yeah.
Is my,
Yeah,
thing.
well, too, we don't know what happens, like, when a character dies and becomes a Force Ghost. Like, what does Anakin know now that he's dead in a Force Ghost that Ahsoka doesn't? Like, can he go figure out what Balin's going and doing and then report back? Like, can he just fly off and go figure it out? It will be very interesting. A lot of explanation about Force Ghosts, and Anakin can be the one to tell us all about Mortis gods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He has the background in it, so I think that would be interesting. And that's where they're going to have to come up with this, like I said earlier. It's going to have to be during Ahsoka because there's no other way to, which stinks because then we have to wait even longer after the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. But, it'll still be something that they're going to have to bring to all of us so that we can know what the heck's going on, because nobody really does at this point, So I want to say hello to Kit Fistu. Darth Plagueis lives. Jacob's on here. Tim and Tyron. And Nick, say that last one down there. I can't. I don't know how to.
Zima YT. Zima YouTube, maybe.
Well, this is all coming from these reports that Hayden Christensen's filming at night in London because we're assuming that he's filming for Ahsoka. Well, he is filming for Ahsoka, but these whole reports of it being at night doesn't really give us anything. I mean, there's nothing to do with it being at night, I guess. It's easier to see a Force ghost at night, I'm guessing.
Be filming Jumper too.
Could be.
Don't tease me. Don't tease me. I love Jumper.
Could be. But I mean, Ahsoka's. You got a couple things coming out from Ahsoka too. You had the Iman Esfandi posting that twirling a lightsaber practicing thing. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We went through the entirety of filming for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, and now we're 3 months into Ahsoka, and they're just keeping it so close to the vest. Nothing is getting out. Everything is just a tight kept secret over there at Lucasfilm. I don't know how they're doing it, because usually by now you'd have leaks about plots and all this stuff come out, and since the Embo and Stinky the Hut stuff, we haven't gotten anything, and that was like a year ago.
They found out who the mole was. I'm the mole.
Yes. That was a fake leak to figure it out.
Yeah, there you go. Now, do you guys think it's a problem that you really should have a lot of experience with like Clone Wars and even Rebels to know what's going on in Ahsoka. Now, I've had this argument many times on other podcasts. I say no. Other people like just ridicule me of like, well, then they're just losing new fans. I'm like, then don't watch.
I think it depends on how they do it. You know, like there's other shows and movies that like I always view it as like it's if they can do it where if you know the background, you enjoy it more, but you don't need to know it to enjoy it, right? And I think Ahsoka season 1 did that. I think like it definitely enhanced some of the background, some of the character interactions. Like if you knew what was going on, you're like, hell yeah, that rocks. But if you didn't know that, I think there's still cool characters. You can still have fun with it. But if they get, and Nick and I, we always say this, like, how weird are they going to get, right? If they get weird with it, it definitely makes it harder to not have that background, right?
Yeah.
Which
for the general public, for sure.
Yeah, for the yeah.
Well, I had an argument with somebody on a different podcast, and they were like, I said the same thing. It's like, you don't have to, but it does enhance the story. It makes it's not that it makes it more sense. It just makes it better. And his response was, I'm not watching a dumb cartoon. I was like, whoa.
Fighting words.
Whoa.
I'm not talking to a dumb person. Oh, wait. Sorry. No. That was mean. I apologize. No, not really. But I was talking about this with somebody a couple days ago, too, because Marvel has gotten to that point where it almost feels like you have to have watched the shows on Disney Plus now to figure out what's going on. And a movie like The Thunderbolts, which came out a couple of months ago, didn't do too well because people saw those characters and they were like, first of all, I don't know who these people are. And some of them are from some TV shows. So maybe you have to watch those TV shows. And it just ended up with people not going to see the movie at all. And Thunderbolts, I thought, was a really good movie. And it actually does that where it explains it well and you don't have to watch anything that came before. But people just, at surface level, just thought I have to watch something else before. That's going to be a big problem with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. It's called the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. People might see that and go, oh, isn't that the Disney Plus show? Do I have to watch Disney Plus? Like, I don't have Disney Plus. So for a normie fan, it might actually impact the box office of that movie. But I will say, similar to Austin, I think they've done an incredible job. Star Wars specifically, they do so well with each project being its own project. There's connections to other things. And if you're a hardcore fan or you're watching everything, then you're going to catch those connections and you're going to have more of a deeper connection to those characters, especially with Ahsoka, the Rebels crew, and Ahsoka for the Clone Wars. You'll have a connection to those characters. But if you haven't seen anything else, Ahsoka still stands by itself as a good project. And same with The Mandalorian. Because in season 2 of The Mandalorian, I'm watching it with like my family, and they haven't watched the Clone Wars or Rebels or anything like that. So when Ahsoka shows up in season 2 and Bo-Katan shows up in season 2, they don't know what's going on, but it still works because it works in the plot of the show.
Right.
So Star Wars has done a great job. Yeah, Star Wars does a fantastic job of you don't have to do your homework before, but if you do, you get the extra payoff.
Yeah, and I think they did that on purpose with the movies and with the animation. Because again, you're going to get people that, like Derek said, people are going to say, "I'm not watching that cartoon." You know, I mean, like guys, in their 50s are not going to go turn around and start watching a cartoon if they haven't. And Mike, I agree with you, but they have done such a spectacular job. Look at Andor. You don't need to know anything, you know. And like you were saying with Mandalorian, I think Mandalorian and Grogu is going to kill just because at this point, that's part of Star Wars lore, and I would say probably 85% of people that have watched the movies probably watched Mandalorian because it was so big. You have Grogu; it's a whole different character. But with the Ahsoka, to step back with the Mandalorian at first when you're watching it with your family, Ahsoka comes in; she's a character. You don't need to know who she is or what her background is. They figure it out there. If you do know her background, yes, like the 5 of us, it's like this is incredible.
Yeah,
you know, and it makes it that much better. But I think Disney does a great job my dad could sit down and watch it and enjoy it and be like, oh, okay, that was a cool plot. That was a cool, you know, live action or movie or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And Star Wars has never been in order. That's the thing too. Like you could watch Andor first and then watch Rogue One and it all makes sense. You could watch Rogue One first and then watch Andor and it all makes sense. So if The Mandalorian comes out and does the same thing, then people who watch The Mandalorian, it's their first introduction to Din Djarin, could go back and watch the first 3 seasons of the show and get that backstory. You don't have to watch it in order. And maybe that's because Star Wars came out of order in the first place, but it does work very well like that.
It is interesting, though, because, I mean, kind of like, it's almost like the reverse of Marvel, where Marvel has always been, well, I guess it's reverse of what they've been, but, like, so Star Wars has always been, in order to, like, fully understand the TV shows, like, you have to have seen other shows, right? Yeah. And then Marvel's always been, well, if you want to enjoy this movie fully, probably should have seen these shows. And Star Wars never gone that direction, right? Yeah. Where, like, big blockbuster movie that is going to be enhanced maybe if you've seen some shows. So it'll be interesting to see if it has any issues. But like Ron, like you said, I mean, I think The Mandalorian, at least from a general just knowing who they are, I mean, it's pop culture at this point. Like they're going to know who they are for sure.
That's going to crush. That movie is going to crush next year. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what the other ones do. I know we're sort of getting off a little bit topic, but the Ryan Johnson, the Starfighter, it'll be interesting because
Ryan Gosling.
Gosling. You have a big actor going to be there. So there's women and girls and other people that like his acting are going to go watch it just because of him, and hopefully we gain some more fans there. But yeah, Mandalorian and Grogu is just gonna crush, I think, at the box office.
Yeah, I also think like some of the examples for Ahsoka, for example. I feel like watching that, they gave little inklings of like, this is who she is to fans that might not know, like, but in ways that enhance the story, like Thrawn being like, he like looks at the pad and he's like, her master was General Anakin Skywalker. And you go, oh, interesting. But the central issue is that like this person and Sabine knew each other, had a falling out, they have all these friends, and you figure it out. We talked about this before many times, but like those are examples of not just throwing people that we love in there just because, like, it, as Austin said, like if they do it in a way where it works for the cool things that are going on in the show, that's the best way. I don't think like Thrawn would have ever worked if you just threw him into Rebels for a cameo. Like they needed the build up, like Steve is saying, where he's in there for a whole, like a lot of the series is a central villain. It doesn't always work to throw. Like I've been thinking about it in the past. Like I was really hoping for Palpatine in Andor. I'm glad he wasn't in there. Like I really wanted it, but like that would have seemed kind of weird and gratuitous, even though it would have made sense. It didn't enhance what was happening. What was happening was more important than throwing a legacy character in there. So I think they're really good at like making those decisions now. And so I don't think it'll matter. Full circle, Derek, in these arguments, I don't think it matters to go watch them or not. It enhances the experience. But if you're there for the story, you're there for the story, and that's what it's going to be. So
well, people always give me crap for liking Ahsoka so much because they're like, oh, Mike just likes all the member berry stuff where they're just throwing in Anakin and throwing in all the Rebels crew and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, I like that. That's the plot of the like her master is Anakin. The show is called Ahsoka. What do you want to happen? What do you want to go down? But
I just love that you threw in a South Park reference.
Well, that's what they say to me. I'm like, okay. But no, it's true because people look at it one of two ways. Either you don't have legacy characters and it's not connected enough, or you have too many legacy characters and it's just fan service, which is just a ridiculous argument because this is Star Wars and we're talking about a character like Ahsoka. So you're going to see her master, you're going to see her friends, you're going to see this story that had a giant cliffhanger in Star Wars Rebels season 4. Like that's obviously where the plot is going to go. But okay, damn it, Nick said something I wanted to go off of and I can't remember. So somebody else.
Well, I guess we can sort of switch off topic here a little bit. I had talked about two different things, and we're going to talk about at least the 5 of our Mount Rushmore. But Nick and I were talking, and I think the other guys were on too, Mike. There's a new way to watch this now that I just started hearing about. And instead of chronologically or release date, you watch 4, 5, go back to 1, 2, and 3,
Yep.
and then watch 6, 7, 8. And I thought that was pretty interesting because
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way, you know, and I've watched them both ways. And then when they come on TNT or TBS, I watch them. It doesn't matter. But over COVID, I was telling Nick as well, and maybe you guys know, me and a buddy watched them in chronological order. He'd only seen The Empire Strikes Back. So that was cool to watch it all the way through. We did Solo and we did Rogue One as well, which obviously were amazing. We didn't do the live actions. We just did the movies.
Yeah.
But the cool thing with that was he didn't know Anakin became Darth Vader. So
That's
that
awesome.
was cool. You know, that was a cool switch. But I think it is, I'm going to have to watch it and do it on a binge, because I think that would be cool to watch those two first, then go back to 1, 2, and 3, and then see his fall and his demise, you know, and then his redemption.
Yeah, people, I forget what they call that.
I think it's called a buzzsaw.
Oh, is it?
Or something like that, like the buzzsaw order, or so because like that's been around. That someone did that, like, man, when there was only 6 of them.
Yeah,
and to treat it like a flashback almost of, like, you know, you experience the mind-blowing, you know, fatherhood scene, and then flashback to everything that happens, and then finish it.
Well, spoiler alert.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, sorry.
What do you mean?
I saw something actually with Sam Witwer, who came up with an even crazier idea, where he was asked if there's somebody who's never seen Star Wars before, how should they watch it? And he actually came up with a great, it's very similar to that, but you start with the Clone Wars and you watch the first 3 seasons or 2.5 or something like that. Yeah, you have to stop before the Mortis arc, and you learn who Anakin is. You love the guy. You're like, okay, and you know that he's Obi-Wan's apprentice. You obviously learn about Ahsoka, whatever. But you learn about the character. You fall in love with the character. Then you watch 4, and in 4, you learn about Anakin, and you don't know what happens to him. You now see old Obi-Wan, and you're like, okay, what happened to this guy? Then you watch 5, and you find out that, well, who Anakin is, and it's more of a punch because you know who Anakin is. You have an attachment to the character already, and then you go back and watch 1, 2, and 3 and watch his collapse happen. So it's more so just because you want to know who that character is. So when they're talking about it in episode 4 and in episode 5, you're like, I know who that is. Oh, I love that guy. Yeah, from the Clone Wars, he's awesome. And then he's like, oh wait, he's the most evil guy in the galaxy.
I always think the watch order, like, depends on who I'm showing it to and how much they know about Star Wars, right? Is always, and like, because one thing I always, if like people know the general lore of Star Wars, they know the big plot twist that Nick spoiled for us already and all that.
My bad.
Like, I do, though I think the special effects are great, I think that's an important piece to, like, try to, like, watch the older ones first, so then you can see, like, the newer special effects later. And I'm usually a release order person. I feel like watch them the way they were, I don't want to say intended, right? But the way they came out, experience them how other people experience them.
Yeah, that was always my argument when we've, I think it was in our interview with Matt McQuiston, we talked about watch order, Ron.
Yeah.
And I feel like, to me, release order, one of the benefits that I don't hear about talked about as much is the concepts get introduced to the world as they were being created. So, like, you get a very standardized, easy yet still mystical description of the Force in A New Hope that you don't have to, like, you know, start thinking about, like, oh, who's more powerful? Midichlorians, what's that? You know, how do you train? All that stuff is just very, like, you kind of get it. It's not like a fire hose, because you get into the Phantom Menace and we're in, and then they throw in things here and there, but you're with 2 Jedi Knights, a Master and is a Padawan or whatever, and you know you're in this thing with taxation on trade routes. Whereas, like, A New Hope's kind of like, you know, the original trilogy kind of flows as the concepts we're building, and then you can have this idea of, like, what you imagine those concepts to be and how everything happened, and then you get to see it, which is why I kind of like the buzzsaw order a little bit too. But it is hard, like, there are some things everybody experiences it differently. Like Austin and I showed one of our best friends Star Wars.
I was going to mention that too.
His name's Dylan. He had never seen it, and he didn't know. We didn't know how to show it to him, because he didn't know anything. So I believe we did release order, and it freaked him out. But then, like, we didn't know that when we went back and did the prequels, we didn't know that he would have such a huge reaction to figuring out who Palpatine was. Like he lost it when he revealed himself to Anakin, and we were like, "Oh shit!" Like that's cool. Like I didn't expect that to, and he had formed a very big attachment to Anakin. He's like, I know what happens to him, yet I'm so mad about this.
Well, and it was funny looking back because, like, obviously we know who Palpatine is, but also, like, if you already know, it's so obvious when you're watching the prequels, right? Like, I mean, like the pan over to like him and he's just like staring at the funeral. Like, it's like, okay, this dude's evil.
Like, always two there are, no more,
it's
no
so
less.
obvious.
It's like to him.
But yeah, like, so when we got to that point, we're like, oh, he didn't know. Like, oh, this is wild. Like,
well, so I think at the end of Attack of the at the end of Attack of the Clones too, it's the clone army, and then it pans to Palpatine, and it's going dun 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 dun.
Yes, that's so geniusly done.
Yeah.
So anyway, I agree. It depends on who has experienced what, and also like their taste, I would say too, because if you don't think they would be into it, I feel like, unfortunately, like A New Hope can get slow for a new viewer. Yeah. Like, if, so you want to keep them excited and engaged. So, if someone, I always ask, like, do you want to like experience it and like learn about it, or do you just want to like see the story? Yeah. Like, do you want to see the story through and through? Then we go 1 to 9 with everything in between.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, if you want the Star Wars experience, I'm a big release order guy for that, because I feel like you don't get knocked over in the prequels with stuff that was kind of like set up beforehand.
Well, and also like nowadays, I mean, I'll throw the spoiler alert on there. Like, everyone knows Darth. Like, I mean, the Darth Vader Anakin thing, like, that's a pretty well known pop. Even if you've never seen Star Wars, you've heard the line.
What are you talking about?
We'll talk later, Derek. We can talk later.
So let me ask you guys. Go ahead. I didn't know you were done.
No. The only last thing I just think that changes also your mindset on it, because like most people already know that plot twist, so like you don't really have to work around it. Like maybe you did a while, like further back.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you guys, and I also want to ask everybody listening, and you can put it in the comments here. How did you watch it when you actually watched it? Because again, for me, and I think Derek's, I know he's not as old as me, but probably went 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Did anybody not do it that way? Did anybody come out with the prequel? And I thought, okay. I knew Nick did, just because we've talked about that before. And so I'd be interested to see what you guys think. When you went and you think about it now, you watched 1, 2, and 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or maybe it was, like we were talking about yesterday with our guest. Some people now, they started with the with animation. Some of these kids started with the Clone Wars or Rebels. Mm-hmm. So, Nick, what was how was your watch order? And then we'll sort of go around, and then we'll get into this Mount Rushmore thing.
My watch order was 4, 1, 5, 6, 2, 3.
Okay.
Then, 10 years and then sequels.
Yeah.
And in between there, Clone Wars and Rebels. But so I saw A New Hope because my parents taped it it was on TBS Superstation, if that rings a bell to Ron and Derek. And so my copy of A New Hope was a blank VHS. I don't know, Mike, if you know what that is. But it was like a little box
of the original trilogy, which I can't watch.
So it had commercials and everything, but I didn't understand a lick of it. I just thought it was cool because I was a very small child. And then the story goes, we were in a grocery store and the Phantom Menace was out on VHS, and they had a whole section of the grocery store that was like rent it now. And I was like, we gotta get it, because I recognized just the imagery. And I remember my parents arguing over it in the grocery store, like, do we? Like, I don't know. Like, is that, can we do that? And he's like 4 or 5. I don't know how old I was. And we did. And then so I watched that, and then someone got it for me for like Christmas and burned the hell out of it. And then one of my neighbors at that time had the box set that Mike has. And so then I watched 5 and 6. And then for a while, Return of the Jedi was my favorite, Star Wars movie. But then the first one I saw in the theater was then Attack of the Clones. So then
Interesting.
off to the races. Yeah.
Austin?
Episode 1 was definitely the first one I saw. After that, I feel like it was kind of all over the place until there was episode 3 was the first one I saw in theaters. And I feel like that came out in theaters. And then I had I'd like Star Wars, but kind of been more just casually enjoyed it. But there was like one weekend where we sat down and we watched them all in release order. That was like the first time I'd really watched all of them, other than just like kind of seeing the prequels. And, I had the Anakin Skywalker pod racer bed sheets. I had all the episode 1 stuff, but I was with you, Nick. Return of the I bet they're probably somewhere at my parents' house. I should ask. But Return of the Jedi was also my favorite for a long time. I don't know what it was. For some reason, for me, Darth Vader removing his helmet was like the coolest thing that could have possibly happened. So I was like, I want to watch that movie for that last 5 minutes of it. Like, that's what I'm watching for.
Yeah.
That movie starts with Jabba the Hutt's palace. Mm-hmm. And you see all of these creatures, and there's fighting, and and Han and Chewie, and the whole thing. So Return of the Jedi is a close second for me, after Empire. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just thought that was a cool way to see that.
Yeah, no, that's all. Yeah, that's all I got. I was definitely episode 1 first, and it was kind of sporadic until finally sat down and watched them all with I think my mom. We got her for like Christmas, like a box set of them. So we sat down and watched them all.
Nice.
Well, before I get into my order, you just reminded me of something. I saw a video pretty recently, actually, and it fascinates me because I wasn't alive to do it. But when people watch the original trilogy, and maybe Ron, you can relate to this. When Empire came out, obviously the big reveal is him being his father. Spoiler alert. But the other big reveal for a lot of people when they came out of the theater was that Vader is human, because you see him. There's a scene where he's putting on his mask you see it from behind. So a lot of people thought when they saw A New Hope that he was just a robot, or he was just some sort of cyborg character, like he wasn't human. So a big reveal in the Empire was that he was in fact a human, before you find out that obviously he's his dad. But that kind of shocked me. I was like, I never even thought of that. Like, you don't think of him as a human because you never saw him under the mask, which is pretty cool.
I'll add to that the fact that like the emperor they refer to is not just some like puppet person, that he's like kneeling in front of a hologram of, at that time it was a weird version of the emperor, but that the biggest bad guy of bad guys is like someone's lapdog, and you're like, well, who's this guy? And then you don't find out until the next movie. So I think that was part of why, for me, Return of the Jedi was cool, because it was like new characters, new problems. I know it was stimulating as a kid. I feel like the lightsaber confrontation was a little more energetic for the originals.
Ewoks.
And,
I still have the original stuffed animal.
Really?
Wow.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yep.
Okay, between bed sheets, the original stuffed animal, we got something going here.
We could be
Mandalorian helmet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Mandalorian helmet.
I guess the newer things.
Mike, what order did you see him in?
So release order, I'm a youngin', so I was born in 2002. That's the same year Attack of the Clones was released. So when I'm 3, Revenge of the Sith comes out, and obviously I'm not seeing it in theaters. So the first movie I actually see in theaters is The Force Awakens. However, I saw a lot of Star Wars before that. Now, I would love to have known the first time I watched Star Wars because I don't remember it. I was far too young. But what I do remember is getting the box set of all 6 movies for Christmas, and there happened to be one missing. Now, the reason there's one missing is because Episode 3 is PG-13. So as a 4-year-old kid, I'm running around going, I get Episode 1, 2, not 3, 4, 5, and 6. Because 3 is PG-13. So for years, my parents kept me from the greatest Star Wars movie of all time, in my personal opinion. And I actually didn't watch Revenge of the Sith for a long time until I don't know how old I was. But I watched it. I remember specifically watching it, recording it on cable television and watching it all the way through because it was like 9 or 10 when I officially watched it. Because at the time when I was 4, 5, or 6, I was too young to watch a PG-13 movie, which makes sense. If I was a kid and I watched Anakin burn alive, I'd be like, "Oh my god!" I wouldn't want to keep watching, but it was the right move by my parents. But they were still holding out the greatest content ever. So that was my release order. I don't recall what I watched first, but I definitely watched 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 a million times before The Force Awakens came out, and then I finally got to watch 3, and I watched the Clone Wars, so that was great too.
Like Clone Wars, did you watch Clone Wars before you saw 3? Or where, like, how? I'm just wondering, like, how much Star Wars had you seen without seeing that?
Yeah. I probably saw some of Clone Wars before I watched 3. I definitely, maybe not. I was gonna say I definitely watched the movie before I watched 3, but I don't know. I must have watched some Clone Wars before I watched 3.
But had you seen all 6 movies before you saw 7?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, many
so
times.
you knew what was going on already.
Yeah. I still remember all the hype around Episode 7 and all that. 2015, I was like 13? Yeah, so I was like 13, and it was sort of, do I make you guys feel old?
This never happened to me before. So
yeah, like I was gonna say, this isn't. Yeah, I don't.
I can't wait till I'm still doing this, of course, because I'm never gonna stop. But I can't wait for whatever amount of years down the line, and I either have somebody on my show or I go on somebody else's show, and they're like, "Yeah, I was born in 2016," and I'm like, "What?" Because that exists. Those people are 9 years old now. Those people are watching all the Star Wars movies right now.
Your first movie was Episode 12 in theaters? What?
Exactly.
Mando and Grogu?
Yeah.
Mando and Grogu 6? You saw that in theaters?
Well, it's funny too because now we talk about how you guys grew up on Ron grew up on the original trilogy. You guys grew up on the prequels, grew up on the Clone Wars. Now it's like, what do you grow up on? There's so many shows. It's like, well, what do you watch first? It's interesting.
Well, like we were talking about with our guest yesterday, it is. You have people that are watching Clone Wars first, or the new what is it, Young Jedi or whatever the new animation is. So you're going to have kids getting into that, which I think is really cool because their parents are obviously going, "Oh, here you go, Johnny, watch this. This is going to be really good," because they know when they get older, they get to go like all of us would do. "Hey, come here, Johnny. Let's sit down and watch these movies. Let's watch this Clone Wars animation, and let's watch Rebels." And so I think it's pretty cool what they are doing with this whole thing, and that's why I like this podcast and your podcast as well, because again, it's all positive stuff, and we all enjoyed everything. Maybe we didn't think the same, or we have different opinions on all of them, but it's Star Wars content that's coming out, and it's pretty good.
Oh yeah. Somebody said in the chat, Galaxy Corp, I think, Episode 3 is Hayden Christensen's best performance in the trilogy. It's crazy how much crap at the time of the prequels coming out his performance got, but even still now, like I see in comment sections all the time, even my own, where somebody will come in and be like, "Yeah, the prequel trilogy is pretty good, but Hayden Christensen was terrible," or like something along those lines. Or I'm like, what are we talking about? Like, is this not just incredible? Maybe
he's a whiny teenage kid. What do you expect?
That's the goal. And then in Revenge of the Sith, his fall to the dark side is like unbelievable. Like awesome. That performance is so good, and it's done for that reason. I feel like the same thing that gets Mark Hamill a lot of crap and Jake Lloyd a lot of crap is the whininess, but that's what they're supposed to be. If Luke's not whiny in episode 4, then he's not the hero in episode 6. If Anakin's not whiny as a kid, then he doesn't become this heroic character in episode 3 and then a villain. That's it. It's character development. Like, I don't know. It's a little crazy.
Yeah, and like, you know, I was at an age where watching them, like when those movies came out, I didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
Like, I had seen the originals many times, but those were more fitting for my age. It was just that I had Star Wars fans in the family. And when I watched it, I was like, oh, Hayden Christensen, he's the best.
Yeah.
So like when he did other movies, like Jumper, it was like, yeah, anything he did to me, I was like, wow, he's great. So then years later, when people were dogging him and all of this stuff, I was like, wait, the guy who played Anakin, you didn't like. And I was like, he was great.
It is crazy.
Well, and I know people say it, but I don't think they say it enough. I love George Lucas for everything he's done, but like he did not do Hayden any service with the dialogue in those movies, right? I think Hayden overperformed what he was given a lot of times. I think like episode 3 he was fantastic, and episode 2 is I think he's good, and it's a rough dialogue.
It's funny you say that, because going back to my watch list before I had seen episode 3, and this is crazy because now episode 5 is my second favorite and episode 6 is even above it. Actually, it might be one of my lowest movies on my Star Wars list, but at some point in my young child brain, my favorite movie was Attack of the Clones, and it was because of all that love stuff with Padme and Anakin on Naboo. I don't know, maybe I'm a hopeless romantic, but I thought it was great. I love that stuff. All that cheesy dialogue, I ate that stuff up as a child, and maybe that's because that's the audience it's for, and now I'm like, okay, that's a little cheesy, for lack of a better word, but I loved that as a kid, so I don't know.
I would stick up 10 times out of 10 for the I don't like sand comment.
Yeah.
Because of the like, I get it. It's just like a randomly wooden line thrown in there. But the context that Anakin Skywalker is coming from is kind of a beautiful anecdote.
Yeah.
Of like, I hate this shit. But like but like here and with you, man, I really like it. I thought whatever, but I'll defend that all day long.
Yeah, no.
But I will. I just read. It's funny we bring this up. I just read a really good explanation on Reddit earlier this week from, like let's defend Hayden Christensen sort of thing. And they were talking about like someone did a really good job. If anybody wants to learn anything about anything Star Wars, like there's a lot of people who put time into Reddit. But there were like links to articles and books and stuff where people were talking about making the original trilogy. And part of what makes the original trilogy work so well is because other people were in charge with George Lucas.
Yeah.
And that there was well documented like fighting from Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher with George about lines, about like what they should say, like cutting down lines a little bit to make them more personable. And then you have people like Harrison Ford who have sort of their natural sort of, honestly, like Hall of Fame charisma, who can deliver. I bet if you wrote out a lot of Han Solo lines, they're pretty wooden and dumb and weird too. But he kind of like, he personally kind of just took it over. Mark fought and won many times on lines. I think Hayden Christensen was just being a dutiful actor to a guy who told him, this is what I want. And if there are some scenes like, oh, well, I'm so in love with you in Revenge of the Sith, when they're just doing that back and forth 3 times and it doesn't really make any sense. That's like George Lucas talking to a girl, and Hayden Christensen is just like, all right, I'll do it. And he does it with like the vibe that they're going for, which is someone who literally has like DSM-5 problems, like psychological problems, who's really dealing with a lot of stuff, who has a heart, you know. And I think he delivers that pretty well. And if you're mad at Hayden Christensen, it's okay to say, hey, George, it would have been cool to have a couple more directors in the room, like Irvin Kershner was in The Empire Strikes Back, like to deliver these things in a way that's a little more, accessible to use Hayden Christensen's talents, because there are other movies from that era, like Derek said, where Hayden Christensen is a little more lively, like a little, has a little more to it. And I don't know if I think George is one of the best world builders of all time. I don't know if George Lucas is the best at pulling out of an actor, especially when you read about that they did a lot of scenes in one take in the prequels. Yeah. He's like, boom, we got it, green screen the rest. And so it's hard
I
do
think
that.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think it's interesting that like Galaxy 23 says, like you were talking about, Harrison Ford changed that line because George, like you said, would have been awkward and said, "Oh, I love you too." Mm-hmm. Where this character, this smuggler, this anti-hero, whatever you want to call him, he's not going to do that. That's just not him. Mm-hmm. So I think like Galaxy 23 said, that's a good point. Like you were talking about, they go in and talk, and here's the lines. And some of them, I think, were changed. And somebody, I think, maybe was on your podcast, Mike, but somebody had said, Harrison Ford was a big actor, but he wasn't at that time. No. American Graffiti came out and it pretty much flopped. I mean, it's a cool movie to go back and watch it now, but it wasn't like Harrison Ford is who he is now. And so I think it was a good, give and take on a lot of that stuff. And then, you go ahead, 19, 20 years with Hayden. And I think, some of that other stuff, just fits in there as it should for a teenage kid talking awkwardly to a girl that he hasn't seen in 10 years, that he's in love with.
And to be fair to Hayden, yeah. And to be fair to Hayden, his ensemble is Natalie Portman, established world-class actor; Ewan McGregor, established world-class actor; Samuel L. Jackson, established actor; Ian McDiarmid, professional stage actor. Probably a lot of pressure to just say, like, I'm going to do what I'm freaking told, right? Yeah. So if he's told, give me this line this way to a blue block, then he's just going to do it. And
also, if he got a word out in front of Natalie Portman, that's better than I would have done.
He was a Padawan. He was in the Jedi Temple, and so it's not like he had relationships. Like, there were girls around, but not the same way. It's like now he's got an older woman that he already had a thing with as a kid, a connection, and now it's like, whoa, she's smoking hot. And she's giving me vibes, and I don't know how to talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Got a lightsaber.
And there's also some evidence, I don't know if it's true, but apparently Hayden studied for the role by just watching Vader's mannerisms and being kind of just cold in his delivery and trying to be, just give a semblance of being kind of cold and the way he speaks. So it's not like he just showed up and didn't do it. And I'm not trying to make it sound like he showed up and just read the thing, but I think it was probably a pretty intimidating situation. I think he did a great job. And I think it's really hard to sell the downfall of someone that you have at the same time, you have to be in love with him and then hate him by the end of it. That's a very hard thing to deliver.
Well, and you have the real message that Hayden's trying to get across is that he is so in love with Padme, because that's the biggest reason, or there's a lot of reasons as to why he falls to the dark side, but that's the biggest one. That's the kicker. If he doesn't have the nightmares of Padme dying and then he doesn't want to save her and the whole thing doesn't happen where he falls to the dark side. So from the very beginning, the first time they meet, he's like, "Are you an angel?" And obviously that's Jake Lloyd, but still that's the establishment of he's in love with this girl. And then episode 2, episode 3, and it all leads to that because she's going to die and he needs to save her. So that's really the thing. And you brought up a great point, Nick. He does try to sound like Vader, like if he was outside the mask. And that actually comes to the perfect point in Kenobi when the mask is half off. And it's Hayden talking, but he's talking just like Anakin and Vader at the same time, because that pays off from the prequel trilogy and the originals. So yeah, he does try to talk exactly like Vader would have if the mask wasn't on. And I mean,
and I don't understand. So all these armchair quarterback acting coaches that talk about him, go hard on the scenes where him and Obi-Wan are screaming at each other at the this iconic battle at the end of the Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like it. Hayden selling how psychotic Anakin is at that point is so good. Like the way he his eyes, like when he's talking to Padme, you don't even need Natalie Portman doesn't even need to really sell it when she steps back from him. You can see it. His eyes are like dead.
Yeah.
He's, it's I don't understand like how we're even picking that apart because he sells that. I mean, if anything, he's the star of that scene, and you got Ewan McGregor and Natalie Portman also doing a great job in that scene. But like he steals it because he's just believably out of control, and they call that wooden, and I disagree wholeheartedly. I guess
it's ridiculous. Like it's one of the best performances I've ever seen, and they talk about it like it's the worst things ever.
Have you ever seen that TikTok? There's a guy who's like, it's my birthday and my girlfriend says that we can do anything that I want. And then it cuts to them in the living room and they're reading the script. And he's like, you turned her against me.
Yeah. You have done that.
Have you seen the Jimmy Fallon one?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's another good one. Yeah.
We've all thought about it.
Yeah.
We've all thought about it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to get the script. Hey, baby, you want to read this with me?
And he does a great job. You should go watch. He does a really good job, actually. It's very surprisingly good.
Yeah, he nails it.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
So,
wow.
So I'm going to put a picture up here if we can fall into a different rabbit hole.
Let's do
it. Derek and I got sent this today. And maybe I'll just take that off. I don't know how that works with, with all that stuff. But so that is as you could tell, maybe a fictional Mount Rushmore of Star Wars characters. I'm going to put it up here again. Maybe have the chat guess whose this is real quick. We got Yoda, Ahsoka, R2-D2, and Aura Singh.
I was going to say, is that Aura Singh? Because,
So
and that's all you can do with AI. We all of us have done a few of them, so we were trying to pick them out.
I just feel like this is a fun thing. It doesn't mean we have to rank anybody. It doesn't mean that there's a right or wrong answer. But I felt like everybody has kind of like a personal Mount Rushmore of characters that they love and are impacted by for a variety of different reasons, not just like story related. And so we all do it. I think I want to start, like, as people are guessing whose that is, when thinking about Mount Rushmores, do we have anybody that didn't make our Mount Rushmore but should be an honorable mention before we start?
Like each of us? Or
just throw them out there.
I got two Mount Rushmores, honestly. I got one that's like should be the Mount Rushmore, like most important characters in Star Wars, and then I got my favorites. So those are like
we're going number 2.
All right, 2 favorites. All right.
See, and that's when you texted me, Nick, and I replied back. Because I replied within seconds.
Yeah,
and I went with like 4 who I thought were like the most important, and it was bugging me the rest of the day. I was that's not it. Like
your personal Mount Rushmore, because this is. I understand. I feel like we probably would all agree on the important one.
Yeah,
but like, what gets us in the door? What gets us sitting down? What gets us to buy the shirts? What gets us, So was there, when you thought about that today, like, was there anybody who you didn't put in there that for no other reason than, 4 of them just got to you more? Like, let's just put them out there.
Boba Fett. Yeah, absolutely. He was very close for mine, for sure.
I'm surprised he wasn't
for me as well. And Chewbacca too.
Yeah,
Chewbacca was my old school favorite until somebody else came along. But when I was a kid, Chewbacca was the cool sidekick, the co-pilot. I mean, So and Boba Fett, like you said, Derek.
And Jay Hysteria said, "Can we make one for villains and one for good guys?" That's perspective first.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
Also, no, you can't.
Yeah.
From a
Four.
from a
Only
certain
four.
point of view.
yeah.
Or of your favorite, good, bad, whichever you want to pick. You can.
That's what
You can
makes
throw
it
them
hard
out
to do.
Rushmore, but
We
not.
could make there's not like 10 Mount Rushmores in the United States. Like they
Right.
had to do 4 for
Yeah, only 4.
yeah.
Well, I mean, Luke doesn't make mine, so I'd say Luke is an honorable mention.
Yeah, that's me too. Luke
yeah.
didn't make mine, and I felt bad about it, but I don't.
felt bad about it too, and then I'm looking at this giant 30-year gap in his story, and I'm like, okay, well, never mind.
One
I
that
would
I
have to
didn't
say-
have in mind that I don't like my list anyways, but Darth Maul would be one that
Mhm.
Oh, he's
was just like,
definitely
I mean, again, first movie I saw, right? Episode
yeah,
1. Just a badass.
Yeah.
Mhm. I mean, he captured the hearts of like everyone in our age group.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like it was
Do you have the picture of you with the face paint? Is that
probably
Is that readily available?
probably. Hold on. You guys
I
keep
think I
talking.
showed that. I think I showed that when he did the podcast with me when we first started out. I had that from him.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and that was a problem for me too, because Maul is one of my favorite characters, and he got bumped by, I guess, a newer character. But yeah, it's just and we'll go ahead, and I'm just going to say, so that was obviously that was mine, and
Yeah.
and that's pretty much like I said. There's some switch ups, and I think everybody would probably agree with it. There's probably as things have come along, because again, Ahsoka for me is she, man, I just think Dave has done such a freaking great job with what she's done, or what he's done with her in this, and season 7 just sort of capped it off for me when in Tales of the Jedi. It was just, I think she's so much more powerful. I feel like even in Ahsoka season 1, I feel like I think if she came down to brass tacks, she could beat Balin. I know she admitted that she couldn't, but I think she could. I think she's up at the top there. And R2 for me, he's been my top, 4 or 5 for forever, because he knows everything. He from beginning to end. He's been there. He doesn't say anything to anybody. He doesn't have anything else to say, because most people don't understand him. But I think it's cool that he knows everything. He's at the Jedi Temple with Luke, in the future. He's on all the starships with. I mean, imagine being this droid. Sorry, I'm getting into it a little bit, but imagine being this droid, knowing who Anakin is, knowing who Darth Vader is, and now you're flying with his son who has no idea, and everything in between. And for Aura Singh, I just thought it was just such a cool character. And then when she came more into the Clone Wars, in the Bounty Hunter arc, I thought they did a great job with learning a little bit more about her and what a badass she was. I mean, she just ruthlessly just killing people in cold blood because Boba couldn't, until he gets older. So for me, when that came out, so those two sort of bumped off. I would say maybe Maul and Chewbacca for me, or maybe even in Boba Fett, because I was always a big Boba Fett fan. So, and it's hard, and I think you guys will agree. I can have a top 10, of all of these characters. They're all phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
So those were my 4 as it stands right now. But even Asajj, what a great character she's become. So that could be another honorable mention. So
yeah.
All right,
also, let's do we keep going?
Yeah.
All right.
We can do that.
Who do we have here? Who does everybody thinks that one is?
Honestly, I don't know. I think I definitely know who the left and right are.
It's Maul, Kenobi,
Let
Revan.
me guess. Let me guess.
And,
Let me guess the last one. Is it Vader?
Okay. Maul.
No, the top one. Is it Vader?
Yeah. Oh, the top. Shoot, what is that one? And that's the thing with the AI. It sort of stinks.
These are original characters, just with similarities to some other characters.
Yes, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hang on a second. I gotta find this one now. Now I'm pissed at myself.
Oops.
I see some. Well, we wait. I see some pretty great lists in the chat right here. One is Porkins,
you were
Greedo,
right.
Jar Jar, and Wiki.
Yeah, my real one is Rose, Zero the Hutt, Lumpy from the Christmas special, and Pong Krell.
There you
Hey,
go.
where's Max Rebo in all this?
Yes.
Hey, whoa, he's amazing. That's where he is.
Ben
Yes,
Quaternaris.
Mike, you were right. That is Vader.
There you go.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so who are we guessing that is?
A lot of villains in that one.
A lot of villains. Seems like somebody evil. I'm gonna go with the evilest of us all, Derek. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
I think it's
I
Nick.
mean, I have tattoos of 2 of the. Oh, actually 3. Yeah, I have Darth Maul, Donald Duck. So
Oh,
yeah,
Darth Maul, Donald Duck.
I do. Yeah.
he's
That's
got them all
awesome.
Disney kit. Yeah,
That's
that
so
is
cool.
that is
There we go.
correct.
got it.
And
That's
to
definitely me.
to Derek's point of view matters on one of them, and 2 of them, honestly, 2 of them. But
And like, you know, people are like, oh, you just don't like the Jedi. I'm like, that's not true. Like, I love the Jedi. I absolutely loved it. Like, Luke was my favorite character forever. It's just I got more into the character development of the dark side and like what brought that on. I mean, I really thought about putting Darth Bane on that list and not Obi-Wan, but to me, Obi-Wan's honestly probably the best character arc with everything they've created in all of Star Wars. Personal opinion.
High praise.
how do we?
Knuckle
We're
bump.
lined up,
You gotta- Is he frozen?
Other side. I will say too, because you put in Revan onto that. It'll be interesting to see if they tell a story with Revan anytime soon, like an actual canon story, I guess, with Revan anytime soon. Because with the Old Republic, there's so much content there, and Revan's already on your list, and he's already on a lot of other people's lists. Like he's already a beloved character that hasn't been touched in canon yet. Like
It almost makes you wonder if they
Oh,
won't do it because of that.
maybe.
If they're afraid to touch him.
Oh, they're definitely afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if they mess them up, that'll be.
There's definitely
Yeah.
fear. Yeah.
They won't. It'll be great.
Yeah.
True,
Yeah.
true.
Jacob's a huge Revan fan. He's got the
That is.
costume and the helmet and everything.
There's we got a couple more.
Let's see, there we go.
Dirty Hawks TV.
That's a great list right there.
Yeah, that is a good list.
Well, since we've gone a whole hour without bringing it up, I have to bring it up. An honorable mention has to be Chimere. The Acolyte is, of course, not getting a second season, but if it did, I think if it got a second, third season, that character's arc it would have been and is already really, really good. Just the, I guess, mystery of the character is awesome. It reminds you of like a young Vader type character where you don't really know what's going on with him. He's got the mask that's just badass as hell and has an ability in itself, being Cortosis. He's got the cool lightsabers that switch or come apart into 2. He's got the Force abilities. He might be getting trained by Plagueis. Like this, some really cool stuff with that character. So honorable mention. He's not on my 4. He's not on my 4, but definitely honorable mention.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I
I think
agree.
he did. He's such a great bad guy, and I think it would be really cool to see. And maybe we will in a comic book or a novel or something. Maybe see his backstory and what happened when he was, and if he was training with a Jedi and what went down there. I think that would be a really cool story to touch on. So
yeah.
All right. Shall we move to another Mount Rushmore?
Yes.
Mhm.
Not in South Dakota. Where would Where would Mount Star Wars more be?
In Star Wars, probably
Yeah.
Coruscant. No.
Tunisia.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be on Coruscant because like that would mean that our Mount Rushmore would be like in New York City or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tatooine.
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
Yeah.
I would say Tatooine.
Because
Yeah.
what other reason do you have to go to South Dakota besides that? Be real. I used to play at casinos there all the time, and it's. Sorry if anybody's from South Dakota. really-
Casinos.
Jeddah. Jeddah's a good one.
Jeddah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lothal.
Yeah,
Mount
no.
Rushmore.
Yeah. Mike, who do we got?
All right. So Ron told me to come up with the Mount Rushmore hours and hours ago, and I mulled it over my head.
Maul.
Three were very easy, and then the fourth one was a little bit more hard. So my easy three were Anakin / Vader, and that says itself. The whole first 6 movies are about him, and it's just Anakin's gone. Ahsoka, like Ron said, through the Clone Wars, very much like Anakin, very much like Luke, starts out as this bratty little kid, becomes this heroic warrior by season 7, fights Maul on Mandalore. Then she comes back as Fulcrum in Rebels and is awesome there, and then comes back yet again in Ahsoka as this very much the master now, quiet type, like Ahsoka the White, as they've been calling her. So, and her future is still could be even more crazy if she's taken down Abeloth, or at least containing Abeloth, or whatever happens with Abeloth. So Ahsoka, easy number 2. Number 3 is Maul. Now some people put him in the honorable mention. Maul, I mean, yes, he's really cool in the Phantom Menace. That's clear. But his comeback, because it's somehow Maul returns, it's pretty much the same thing, but with an explanation, or a lot better of an explanation. Him coming back and having that vengeance for Obi-Wan is awesome. But even after he sort of gets over that, I guess, he's just got this incredible arc. He's in Solo, he's back in Rebels, and his death versus Obi-Wan on Tatooine is like one of the best lightsaber duels that doesn't really even happen because it's so quick. But it's one of the best moments in Star Wars when he looks up at him dying and goes, "Is he the chosen one?" And it's just so good. So Maul's my 3. My 4th one was the one that was really difficult. I was going through a bunch of different characters. I was thinking maybe Ezra, but I still think we need some more time with Ezra. But it did come down to, as Derek put it, arguably one of the best arcs in Star Wars, and that is Obi-Wan, because you spend so much time with him. 7 seasons of the Clone Wars. He's through the 3 movies in the originals, 3 movies in the prequels. He's everywhere, and he is the Jedi because he's got sort of, he goes from being he goes from losing his master to losing his Padawan to losing his whole entire order to losing everything he knows and loves to losing Satine to losing everything, and he still never falls to the dark side, and he still is the Jedi that ushers in Luke and trains Luke and all that. So there's
everybody that plays him in whatever fashion is amazing.
Yeah, you got many different actors who portray him, and it's all great.
Yeah, the most underrated Jedi, I think.
Yeah, he's definitely the most by the order type of Jedi, I feel like.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I had to put him there, because like for me, being more on the dark side, not more, completely on the dark side, it's because of the flaws of the Jedi, but that's why he's on my list, because he embodies what the Jedi are really supposed to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's got like that perfect mix, I feel, which surprisingly enough, like you get a lot of that in the Clone Wars a lot, where he's like constantly put in he's like he's constantly being put in the middle of Anakin and the council, and he's saying what both of them need to hear instead of just like putting them together, but there's a funny meme where it said, it's like someone asked me, what's Star Wars about? And then it's the scene of Anakin and Obi-Wan walking in the temple, and Obi-Wan's like, "Oh, calm down, Anakin." And that's it.
Yeah.
Like, directed by George Lucas.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because if we're talking about obviously Mount Rushmores, if you're taking 4 characters to beat another 4 characters, you got Anakin, of course, Ahsoka, and Maul. That's great, but nobody's beating the high ground. So Obi-Wan comes with a fail-safe ultimate instant win.
Landmass.
just plot. He's got plot armor.
Yeah,
he is the mountain that they are carved into.
Oh, there you go.
If they're making 4 heads, he's definitely the tallest one too.
Yeah.
Before we get into the next one, I want to touch on this one that hopefully Evan's still on here. I thought this was pretty interesting. Evan, if you're still on here, I'd be interested to hear. Yeah, I'd love to hear you can put a comment in here. We can talk about it tomorrow. But I thought that was pretty cool with Han and Leia, R2, and then Jen Erso. Mainly with Jen and Leia. Go ahead.
Well, no, we have I haven't heard Nick or Austin's list yet, but Han has been left off of the first 3 lists, and honestly, Han is an honorable mention by all means. I mean, even Leia too, but Han, he's the first smuggler. He's the first badass character, and he is still the hero, but still he shot first, and he's definitely on a lot of people's lists, like a lot. So that's really cool to see that. And Jyn Erso, that's a big. I mean, only one movie. Like, she's not going to get much more storytelling. So that's very impressive because Rogue One is just that good.
Yeah, and I feel like those are very also important. I know we're not doing the important Mount Rushmores because I yelled at everybody, but those are like R2 arguably is the most important character in the whole thing. He's saved everybody's ass many, many times. Same with Han. So and a lot can be said for Jyn Erso in that regard as well. So that's interesting. But yeah. This is a good question, real quick. Which stage of Obi-Wan throughout his life is the most powerful?
Everything. It's the arc.
Yeah.
It's the arc.
I would say probably in Revenge of the Sith because, I mean, he defeats Anakin.
I think in terms of like totally getting it, it's whatever we haven't seen yet prior to right up to A New Hope. Because I've always liked Sam Witwer's interpretation of what Maul sees when he's finally lost. And he's like, oh, this is something else. Like, this is not the Obi-Wan Kenobi that I remember. This guy's moved on to some bigger and better important things.
Yeah.
And it's hard to imagine the Alec Guinness version being a little more with it than the Ewan McGregor version because physically he's not. But I don't know. That's what do you guys think?
Well,
I think so.
No, yeah, I think with the Force, he's definitely most powerful by Episode 4. But in terms of like physical strength and being able to keep up with a young Anakin, like that's Episode 3 probably.
Yeah, and
when he defeats Grievous too, which I thought was finally. I mean, he beats him all the time, but he finally kills him. And he's had so many different battles, and obviously he's won all of them until
lost to Dooku twice. That's his kryptonite.
But if he didn't get struck down, then Luke wouldn't have gone to Dagobah.
Yep. I will say there was a guy who compared him to Tom Brady.
I'll be right back, boys.
If you guys are football people, but he was talking about like Tom Brady only lost to Eli Manning twice. Count Dooku is Obi-Wan to Eli Manning. Otherwise,
that's pretty good.
Ran the table.
I thought you were calling him a system Jedi.
Yes.
Or cheater.
Yeah. Tom Brady's the worst. Like, only if you're a box score reader, casual, then yeah, he's Tom Brady. But if you have
somebody that follows the rules.
Yeah, if you have feelings, then obviously it's not the right.
Hitter's all fan. Sorry.
Okay, moving on. Well, we got a couple more. So Dirty Hawk says Attack of the Clones, I think. Is that
Obi-Wan?
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
I was about to say Obi-Wan Phantom Menace after a couple of like warm-up jumps behind the screen that they didn't take out. He's like warming up for the sun. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that.
Oh yeah, before the red before it like drops down.
The red thing's about to drop down and he's like hopping around getting ready for the scene. They didn't take it out. I love that. I love that shit.
Well, and also I don't know if it's true, but I saw the thing where they said that they had to slow down that footage for the lightsaber fight because him and Ray Park were going so fast. And
they were
no one's gonna know what's
hard.
happening. So they actually slowed it down in during the editing.
So I think mad Obi-Wan, upset Obi-Wan is kind of a big deal. But
because he doesn't get that way. He doesn't get that way very much.
No. Episode 3, level of confidence just dropping in on Grievous, Dooku, and burying Anakin. Yeah, probably means beating Anakin. He was like pretty chill in all of those. Obviously, he's pretty emotionally distraught with Anakin, but like he just jumps in with Grievous. He tells what he doesn't know. He tells the Sith Lord of Sith Lords, like, "Hey, this is what we do," and then gets smoked.
Yes. That's such a good line. I love that when he just turns around and says that to Palpatine.
Biggest talk.
It's our speciality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love James Arnold Taylor kind of turning him more into like a cocky, snarky guy who's really just doing it like I observe it more as like Matthew McConaughey style. Like he's just bullshitting you because he knows he can kind of be snarky, but he didn't really mean to be mean or turn his nose up. That's how I've always.
Plus, he also fell in love with a woman at one point. So it's like
he did. We asked Nika yesterday. Well, sorry.
Hey, wait. Let's do that.
Sorry.
We haven't even said that. So we got enough people on here. We spoke with Nika Futterman yesterday. Had a great interview. So please look for that. That'll be coming out next week. I'm not going to edit much. There's no editing really. I mean, what a great person. We caught her on the way home from another gig. So she pulled over in her car. She was running late. She didn't want to be late. We had a great conversation. She didn't give any spoilers away, but just her getting the part and what she's put into that part is just phenomenal. So be on the lookout for that. I'll have that out probably early next week, hopefully before Wednesday next week, and then we can talk about that, which will be fun as well. So, Nick, what's next? And I'll be
all right. Austin's next.
Okay,
go ahead, Austin.
So because Nick doesn't scare me, I'm just gonna say what the 4 important ones are that I said right away. And I'm going to give my caveats along with it. Yeah, so there it is. So I went with Anakin / Vader, Obi-Wan, Palpatine, and Yoda. And I'll say the one out of the ones that are there, I'm a little shocked that no one has said Palpatine yet.
Honestly, yeah.
and that's for sure one that I would keep if I was going favorites. So I think Palps is awesome. Just like he's just great villain. I look at like kind of like what you're saying, Derek, when you're talking about the dark side and the villains. I look at it with most movies. I mean, I know we've used Marvel a couple times, but like the best Marvel movies are the ones with the best villains, right?
1000%.
Villains make or break a movie.
Yeah.
You can have a good hero, but you got to have a good bad guy. And I think Palpatine just kills it.
Yeah.
The ones that I would, what was that?
He said he just kills it, and I said, and his family.
Yeah.
and all the Jedi, all of Alderaan.
A couple that I would like if I was to think more about it and go with more favorites. Palpatine would still be there. Obi-Wan's hard to pass up. Qui-Gon is one that I would have a hard time not having on there. And if I had, I'm trying to throw ones that maybe haven't been said. I'm a big Kylo Ren fan as far as like the sequels go. Again, as a villain, like I think the complexity he has and like not being, he's obviously evil, but he's got some stuff going on, right? And I think that's just a very interesting character. I think Adam Driver also just is an incredible actor and just killed that role.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what the 4 favorites would look like, but these are the first 4 when Nick texted me, it was like within a second, I was like, boom, 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 boom. Those are the 4 I messaged.
Great
back,
list.
So.
Yeah, great list.
No, it is. And I left Palpatine off mine too, but you're absolutely right. I mean, Palpatine, he creates an entire galaxy war where he's the leader of both sides. Like he's that good. Like he's just such a great villain. There's no touching that. And what's crazy too is his underlings are great villains. Vader's a great villain. Krennic's a great villain. Tarkin's a great villain. But Palpatine's the head of all of those people, so he's really the top dog.
Great list, Austin.
Yeah.
Any more?
You got Yoda in there, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, Yoda's good too because he spans the whole timeline because he's the master of the whole Jedi Order in the prequels, and then of course he trains Luke in the originals, and he's also has an impact on the sequels too.
I thought of one more honorable mention as I'm thinking of like bringing young fans in and like how Disney is doing that. Neil, like
that's not where I thought you were going, but yes.
No. You thought I was gonna say like Ray or something. No,
Oh,
that
no.
show was so fantastic.
Okay.
Oh, we lost him. I absolutely, I mean, I think unanimously everybody loved that show. And Neil is just the most endearing character and just funny and sweet and brave when he had to be. And like, there's so much more that they can continue to do with him. I don't know. I love him. I love him.
He was a great character. I just watched Skeleton Crew again, and he's a comfortable character. I think. It's like a golden doodle. You see him and they're like, oh, look how cute he is.
Well, somebody brought it up earlier because when we were talking about introductions to the Star Wars timeline, Skeleton Crew is a great one, especially for a kid like that.
Yeah.
So many people said it when it was coming out. You think about that, like, as you are a kid in that show. Like, that's how you watch Skeleton Crew, which is really cool. But now the character I thought you were going to bring up would have been this guy. Because for a lot of people,
true.
like this,
yes,
for sure,
yeah,
without a doubt, it was hard not to have him on the list.
Yeah, he's become such a fan favorite character, along with Grogu too. But Grogu's just the comic relief a little bit.
Well, and Salacious B. Crumb was a hard one to leave off the list.
Yes,
true.
Course.
Yeah,
Sleaze Begano,
Death Stick guy. I feel like Jacob mentioned him earlier in this very chat.
Somebody did.
Someone mentioned Death Sticks, and I almost wore my Sleaze Begano shirt.
You have wait.
I mean, I love me some DK Rex though.
You have a Sleaze Begano shirt?
Yeah. What?
Yeah, you were with me when I got it. It's like I got it Celebration. It's like a wanted poster.
Oh yeah,
that's right. For Sleaze
awesome.
Begano. Yeah.
I was going to say, why don't we all have one?
I know.
Hey, I had an Aside Adventure shirt yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
That's true.
He did. He did.
So have we done your list, Nick?
We haven't.
Last but not least.
Let's see if I can pull it up here.
I got it.
You got it? Okay.
Yep. I'm just gonna do this one because mine didn't turn out as good as mine.
I was gonna try to guess it, and that's I think I would have gotten it.
So pretty similar to Austin's actually. Believe it or not, I don't think this would be my important Mount Rushmore. However,
I don't think I'd have Qui-Gon on mine.
Yeah. For me, it's a mix of like who I just love and then who I think is kind of a big deal just in general with like my experience with watching it as a kid and who I like respect the most, who I'm like most infatuated with, I guess is the right term. So Obi-Wan's my favorite character by a lot. And we've already covered this, but I think he's just kind of like, he's not perfect, but he's perfect. Yeah. I think he transcends kind of all of he's like the best example of how Star Wars works when you're talking about like who would beat who and what should happen and how does it happen. And it's like at every turn, Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of like shows you how this stuff works. And I think ultimately it's like even down to his death, it's like, it's just him, and I don't think he gets enough credit for how he actually is quite similar to the next guy, which is Qui-Gon Jinn. I freaking love Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah.
It made me feel a little empowered to talk about him so roughly 2 weeks ago on our show. Because I feel like I think Qui-Gon Jinn is more than just like everyone's favorite bad boy who doesn't like authority. I think he is kind of a weirdo, and I think he's kind of exactly what the Jedi need, and I think he gets embodied later on, not soon enough, but embodied later on by Obi-Wan Kenobi. I didn't know as a kid that Liam Neeson was a very famous, successful actor. I just thought just Qui-Gon Jinn. This guy's sick.
Yeah.
And I just think my reason for bringing up that topic 2 weeks ago or whenever it was that I think Qui-Gon gets underestimated, and how well he would have actually tried to train Anakin. It wouldn't have just went, the way we all hope it would. I think he would have had more principles that we don't expect. I think he's just a fantastic character.
Sorry, just one thing on Qui-Gon too. He has some of the best lines. He's only in one movie. Some of his quotes, like he has a lot of really good quotes in that first movie.
Yeah, I think it's perfect that George or whoever's idea it was to bridge the gap at the end of Revenge of the Sith to be like, the Force Ghost thing, we don't know what it is, but Qui-Gon's the one who figured it out. And it's like it gives Obi-Wan more than just, I'm going to go just like keep an eye on this baby, which I hope we get more of. That would be great. I use the term Darth Sidious for Palpatine because I am team change the narrative, only call him Darth Sidious. I will try forever to get people, because that's who I think he really is. And he has fascinated me forever since I was a kid, mainly for the reason that you guys pointed out in Empire and Return of the Jedi. He just shows up in this series and you're like, who's that? And I don't know. And even as a kid, like I wanted to see him, show it in the prequels. And he does in fantastic fashion in Revenge of the Sith. And you don't have this whole thing without him. So I think it's just a matter of fascination. And then Anakin Vader, I don't know if you can be a prequel kid and not just be heartbroken over Anakin. To me, so obviously it's a very prequel heavy list, kind of. Obi-Wan and Palpatine and Vader are all in the originals, but that's just my thing. I think go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, I was at first when I saw it, I was gonna say I was surprised I didn't see Darth Maul, but then I look at the list and it's like, okay, well, where does he go?
Yeah,
but like I'm assuming he's probably was one of the first ones.
Yeah, as far as impact, like Derek said about several people, like as far as impact, Darth Maul deserves, biggest honorable mention there is for me.
Yeah.
But, as far as like characters that make me feel something, like these were the four for me. And like characters that I love learning about all the characters, but like I need more of all of these four. Like I don't need to see Vader, big dick everybody all the time, but like I want to know, like the Vader comics are really cool about his experience. I want more of those, him coming up. I don't need to see a whole series like everyone's asking for, but I want to know more. Like I want them to redo the Kenobi novel, do more of those. I want to know a lot more about Qui-Gon, and I'm always down for a Sidious appearance.
No, absolutely. I think to do more Sidious would be a lot better. I think, Darth Maul is going to get a lot more with the Maul series too, so that's kind of but I feel like Palpatine or Darth Sidious. Sidious would be on my list over Maul, but again, Maul's going to get even more character development next year. But Sidious's return is still being explained a lot more, and hopefully we get that feel of maybe him pulling the strings even more in this Mandoverse time period, which would be great. Because even though his return in the sequel trilogy in Rise is a little forced and somehow Palpatine returned is, whatever. But him at the end of Rise is like, it's awesome. Like seeing Ian McDermott back, the visuals of it all, him on Exegol, when he gets the power of the dyad and force lightning all the ships above him, like that's just badass. Like, come on. But it is just great to hear his voice again too. When Kylo first gets to Exegol and he's just he gets there and the lightning strikes and you see his face, like that stuff's really cool. So yeah, Sidious is definitely probably number 5 on my list. If there is
I also think there's a distinction between Darth Sidious and Palpatine a little bit.
Yeah.
Like Darth Sidious, also weird guy. Palpatine is I love this about him. It's why I'm so fascinated with his character. Like Palpatine, the guy who plays both sides and does the war and everything, is already in itself like an amazing character.
Yeah.
But like when you like, especially when you read Darth Plagueis or some of these other things, like what Darth Sidious is doing when he doesn't need to have all the, the cover, is this guy is a bad dude, and is like when you recognize that becoming Emperor of the Universe is like literally just a means to an end for him. Like as soon as it happens, he's like, I got Vader and you guys handling this stuff over here. I'm going to go do like Sith stuff.
Yeah.
And he's just out of the public eye. Like that's a weird guy who's doing weird stuff and no one can do anything about it.
He's just like pure aura.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just like, what is it? Is it the Lords of the Sith book?
Yeah.
Where there's like where he ends up having to use some of his Sith powers in front of some stormtroopers, and he's like, all right, Vader, you know what you got to do, and just kills all of them. Yeah,
in front of Imperial guards.
Yeah.
The red cloaked guys.
He's like, yeah, we got to kill them. They can't know about this. It's just like, dude's just like, he just is. You're like, this dude's a badass.
Yeah. He could let it out. No one could do anything about it, and he doesn't.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah.
Fun exercise, everybody.
Good lists. Good lists all around.
It was great. Well, somebody brought up in the chat too, Kane and Jarrus. It fully depends when we look at our lists, like what you like the most project-wise. Because for some people, Jyn Erso's on the list, or Kane and Jarrus is on the list, or like you have a strong connection to a specific project. That's why, like for Austin, he almost put Kylo Ren on the list because he's a big sequel guy. I probably would have put Chimera on my list if the Acolyte got a second season because I'm a big Acolyte guy like this. And Ezra Bridger would have been sort of 6, 7, or 8 on my list because I love Rebels. But Kanan Jarrus too is one of those characters too. So it does fully depend on like what you grew up on, what you love the most. We had a lot of prequel characters in there for us prequel people. Yeah. And you have even more original trilogy people for Ron too.
Well, and I bet if you ask certain, because there's a population, like if you start asking Rebel people, Chopper's going to show up all over the place, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, that's people love Chopper.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm trying to think if we missed anybody like obvious.
Leia.
Yeah,
I mean, she was in one of these.
Somebody made one, yeah.
C-3PO.
Yeah, 3PO. Yeah, never even got brought up. He's in every movie.
I mean, I said DJ Rex is my guy right back here.
Yeah, there you go.
I love Star Wars, and I don't dislike any characters, but like if I had to like take a stance and like be a hater of someone, I'm a C-3PO hater.
Are you?
I'll do it. If I had to pick somebody to be like, you know what, I'll go to battle against him, it'd be C-3PO.
Yeah.
I'm surprised no one's called me out and said Cal Kestis.
Yeah, whoa.
Well, Cal's problem too is he's only in the 2 games. So like his character's awesome, but we need a lot more time with him because he's such a great character. Like we want more,
Exactly. And we're gonna get more. We know we will.
Yeah.
But how is the question?
Yeah. Well, we got a lot of, I guess we didn't limit it to canon by any means.
No, it's true. Yeah.
We didn't really get much Darth Bane. We didn't get much.
I said Revan.
We got a Revan.
Well, we got a Revan. We got a couple of Revans. But nobody even mentioned
Thrawn out there.
Thrawn, yes, Thrawn.
Yeah.
I almost
canon
did
and Legends.
Very close.
Really?
Yep.
Well, Thrawn, Thrawn, absolutely, because in Legends he's such a great character, but also in canon he's such a great character. So that's definitely one. And maybe Thrawn does make the list for a lot of people after maybe 4 or 5 years from now when we get more of that canon there to the Empire stuff.
Cad Bane, there you go.
Cad Bane, yes. Cad Bane's my favorite bounty hunter. He just didn't make the list.
Probably got like Captain Rex, some.
Yeah.
Captain Rex. You can start hitting the Bad Batch. There's a lot of characters there that I'm sure people will.
Didn't see. I assume the fan favorite would be Mace Windu. Didn't see a single one.
Yes, no Mace Windu's either.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Didn't see any CC Tin fans in there either. Kind of disappointing.
Babu.
Oh, you must have missed my second text.
Oh, okay.
It was just him 4 times.
It was him, Kit Fisto, and Egg and Kolar.
And Yen Nub.
Very quick text.
I don't remember if this was true or not. I just saw a video. Maybe it was just a meme, but I think it actually might have been true to Star Wars canon. I'll have to fact check it again. But Ben Quadinaris, as many know him, one of the greatest pod races of all time. If he didn't, I still think if his pod race wasn't completely malfunctioned, then he would have beat Anakin. But that's just, I saw some video where after that, like he became like a really, really good racer, and him and Sebulba had like this crazy rivalry on Tatooine for like the next 20 years. I don't know if that's true to canon or not, but that would be awesome.
Well, Sebulba's legacy just took a hit by getting beat by a 9-year-old kid. I'm sorry.
That's true.
That'll do it.
Sebulba's next championships were Mickey Mouse championships.
Mickey Mouse.
Well, if word got around that kid that beat him turns into Vader, then maybe not. Well, at least turns into a Jedi Knight.
I mean, he even cheated, and honestly, fair game if you cheat in pod racing. But he even cheated and lost. So and people claim there was all this wizardry happening, but we all know that's ridiculous. So
it's the perfect chance. It was like the kid who beats Sebulba leaves the planet. Sebulba just lost to a 9-year-old. Ben Quananaris is the perfect avenue to just become the greatest pod racer of all time.
Yeah. Anakin Skywalker, 0 losses. So
1-0 retires.
He's never finished before that, so doesn't count.
Yeah. I'm surprised, Nick, you didn't have a Watto or Newt Gunray on there.
I do love some Newt Gunray.
Yeah.
I love the one like Brooklyn battle droid. You guys know what I'm talking about? I love when Newt Gunray has control of Naboo, and they're all hanging out and it's nighttime, and this one battle droid walks up to him to tell him about the Gungans, and he's just randomly got this like Brooklyn or maybe even more north, like a New England accent, and you never hear it again from a battle droid.
That's pretty awesome.
You got to check it out. It's great.
I'm gonna have to go watch the Phantom Menace
underwater villages.
Well, I jokingly said Pong Krell, but what an amazing job they did at making an absolutely awful character.
I know. One arc and people hate him.
Yep.
Yeah, so good. And it's like they tried that with other characters, but they really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dexter Jetser.
Yeah.
He's a good
That's
one.
a great one.
Also, just an underrated Obi-Wan backstory that he's friends with the sleazy guy that runs a diner. Like, I mean, just like adds more to his character.
Informant.
Yeah. Like, what is this dude doing?
I do
Obi-Wan
love that
clearly
about
got around.
Yeah, I love that about Obi-Wan. The council's like, hey, why don't you go do this? He's like, I might know a guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Same with like Asajj in Dark Disciple. They're like, we want to do this very anti-Jedi thing, which is assassinate Count Dooku, but we can't have our hands on it. So Obi-Wan, you go handle it.
Yeah.
He's like, well, who do I know that would do it? Oh, this girl I flirt with all the time. Asajj Ventress.
True. Well, somebody brought it up by not name, but by line. Steven in the chat. Saw Gerrera. Lies, deception. Saw's a great character. And he's a character that spans through the Clone Wars all the way up till Rogue One and Rebels and all that stuff too.
Well, I think that's why we're here. All of these characters are phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's not many that aren't, and that's what makes Star Wars so good, because every single one of these characters, what we know about them, and what's cool is animation has been able to tell us more about them. But every single one of them that we're talking about, for the most part, people like them, and they're great characters. And I thought, I was gone for a couple of minutes, but I know you guys had said something about because Galaxy 23 had mentioned Kanan, and Mike, you had mentioned even Ezra. But there's not a lot of background yet. I mean, we do have some, but I think we're going to learn a lot more, in Ahsoka season 2. So again, even as you guys get older, some of these Mount Rushmores might change again, and for some of these other younger kids, it's going to be different as well, and like I said with mine, with Ahsoka, I never would have thought that I would have put her on that even first couple seasons into Clone Wars. But as we continue to see what Dave does with her, and we go to season 7 and we go to Tales of the Jedi, it's like, oh yeah, this is such a badass character. And everyone that we've talked about, I think is really a great character in this whole universe.
Well, we've talked about it for a long time now, and nobody has brought up, well, with the exception of Saw Gerrera, any characters from Andor. Now, Andor, a lot of people argue is one of the greatest Star Wars shows, or the greatest Star Wars show. And it's such an ensemble that it's hard to just pick one, you know? Like, Cassian's such a great character, but so is Mon Mothma, and so is Bix, and so is Luthen. Like, Luthen would be in my top 10.
Oh my God, yes.
But again,
For sure.
like,
yes.
these characters we're talking about, they have so much story told. Like, Anakin's got 6 movies, like a million seasons of television. Like, there's so much story told with him, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka. There's so much story. So with characters like Cassian or even Luthen, who's a great character, it's only a couple seasons, not really enough. Characters like Shin Hati, Bale and Skull, only 1 season, so it's not really enough. So yeah, maybe over time these characters become more beloved. It's an ever-evolving list, that's for sure.
Well, I think yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, it's just thinking about, like, whatever. I don't know if you guys have read the Living Force book. It's like one of the more recent, like, Jedi books. But, like, I just think about all the random Jedi that you get all these, like, backstories about there, right? And you start to like Yariel Poof rocks in that book, right? Yeah. Like, that dude's awesome. There's a bunch of those where it's just like, you know, makes you want more of those, and it's because you just get a little piece of it.
Well, even characters that only exist in books, like you have the High Republic, which I'm not up to date with, but there's a lot of people who talk about the High Republic like it's one of their favorite Star Wars things ever, and there's a ton of great characters in there. I read the first phase of the High Republic, but there's so many great ones. Avar Kriss, you got Stellan Geos, like you got some really, really great characters, Jedi characters specifically, in that series, I guess, in that time period, we'll call it. Yeah.
This was one, man.
Oh my God, Count Dooku didn't even get mentioned today.
Never. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Good job, Steve.
Darth Tyrannus. Let's
just
switch the narrative on that.
Just another guy that it's just aura.
Yeah.
Like it's just like just
the bent lightsaber.
Cool. He's just cool.
One hand. I feel like Tails kind of satisfied me on Dooku. And shockingly in less time than I ever would have thought possible. I just thought it was really good because we get so much of him from Clone Wars, and you know, I urge everybody, especially Steve, go read the Revenge of the Sith novelization. It's a very, very good account of like Dooku's viewpoint, and that was all we had for a while, and it's fantastic. But
well, I think in all of the novels, and I know, Mike, you're listening to Heir to the Empire, but the Living Force, Austin, I listened to that on audiobook. And it was fantastic because, you know, the voices change and the accents, and you hear the ships or you hear the background and stuff like that. And it's so cool to listen to those. I feel you get the whole thing. If for me, I have to sit down and I can't do something else.
Yeah. I
want to sit down and enjoy it and listen to it and take it all in so I don't miss something, because there's so many things in these novels, I think, that, you know, refer back to the OG movies or refer back to Clone Wars, just one-liners or statements or things that somebody else has said before. I think it's so cool. And if I'm not paying attention to that book, I might miss something like that. So I'm not able to do with Star Wars books, especially just because I want to take it all in. But yeah, they're so good when they're done audibly with all the different effects and stuff in it.
Yeah, it's like listening to a movie, pretty much.
The new Thrawn trilogy was fantastic as an audiobook. If anyone did those, like those ones were really good.
Well, I'm finishing the Heir to the Empire trilogy right now. I only got like a couple hours left on Last Command, but like they redid those for the 20th anniversary or whatever, so now they're all updated with the voices and all that stuff and the special effects. But before that, I listened to, in preparation for Tales of the Underworld, I listened to the Dark Disciple novel again. Well, I read it the first time, now I listened to it the second time. And again, you hear Asajj Ventress's voice, you hear Quinlan Voss's voice and Count Dooku's voice, and then all the lightsaber battles are all actual lightsaber battles. Like it's really cool.
Agreed.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost at 2 hours, so
Yeah.
everybody, I think we've done a pretty good job. Mike, again, thank you so much for coming on here. I know you do this 3 times a week already, and we really appreciate you coming on here with your knowledge and stuff. So, and everybody else, again, for 2 hours, and we really haven't had much time to talk about anything else. It's been a good flow. Yeah, it does at times. I mean, because I know we could all sit here for another 4 hours and probably talk about this, but that's why we get to go listen to Mike's podcast tomorrow on Thursday and also on Saturday. If you haven't already, again, it's such a great. It's good energy, but it's all positive stuff. So make sure you guys check that out when you can. And Nick, I appreciate you getting everything going this week, and some cool things for us to talk about. The Mount Rushmore thing was really awesome. I think we did a good job with that. Again, we're going to have a new. I'll have something out this coming week, early this week. I'm going to have some Asajj Ventress stuff out. We got to sit down with Nika Futterman and had a great interview with her. So unless anybody else has got anything, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Everybody good?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Good.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for listening and your comments. And we'll see you on the next Star Wars Jedi Chat. May the Force be with you.